Hi, I'm Donna Charpentier with Hammond Residential, and I'm here today with Yitz Magence of the real estate law firm Gilmartin, Magence & Ross. Thanks once again for joining me today, Yitz.
Thanks for having me, Donna.
So we're here today to talk about the role of the closing attorney, and lots of people may not know that actually when they're purchasing a home, they may need a couple of different functions from an attorney. So I was hoping you could share a little bit more about that today and what the closing attorney would do.
So the first function, we've already covered under one of your videos, the personal representation function, which is basically representing the individual purchasing, focusing on them. The closing attorney doesn't focus on the buyer. The best way to look at this is they focus on the property that the buyer is purchasing to make sure that the seller is delivering clear title to the property, to make sure that the seller is current in all their costs associated with the property, such as real estate taxes, water, sewer bills. If it's a condominium, make sure they're current on their condo fees. Make sure that the house and the building conform with the zoning regulations of the municipality where the property lies. And that's what the closing attorney does on behalf of the lender.
Now, I'm sure you've seen all sorts of different scenarios come up, and so I think a lot of folks may think that once the purchase and sale agreement has been negotiated and finalized and signed, that they may not need an attorney after that point. And so what kinds of things would the closing attorney be on the lookout for to make sure that it does in fact close?
Well, that's a very good question. And the truth is there are just as many important functions after the P&S is negotiated, finalized, and signed as there are beforehand. The most important function, and one of the typical conditions that would be involved in a transaction as well as stated in the purchase and sale agreement, would be the fact that the buyer's obligation to purchase the property would be conditional upon them successfully obtaining a mortgage commitment. Now, that is an important deadline. So one of the functions the attorney would have post P&S would be to make sure that that deadline is met, to make sure that the commitment letter is issued, and that the letter that's issued by the lender is truly a commitment. The average person, it'll say commitment letter at the top. The average person may view that as I'm all set, whereas an experienced attorney that has reviewed commitment letters might be able to find conditions in there that are not within the buyer's reasonable control. And therefore, in order to protect the buyer's deposit, they would get involved, make sure that the commitment letter was either clean or request an extension from the seller's attorney to obtain a clean commitment letter.
Certainly one of the most important things at the closing is the recording of the title. What exactly is that, and why is it so important?
Well, one of the items that is covered in the purchase and sale agreement, and it's frankly the most important item if I had to pick one, would be that the seller's obligation is to deliver clear, marketable title to the buyer. Make sure that they own the property and that there's no issues or liens or mortgages outstanding. So one of the tasks that the bank attorney performs is to make sure after they do the title exam, to make sure that they review the deed. In order to transfer title, ownership, from the seller to the buyer, the seller will have to sign a deed. The bank attorney makes sure that that deed is consistent with the entire chain of title of that property. And once they've reviewed that, approved it, after the closing, they will take that document to the registry of deeds. Every county has a registry, and any document, any issue, any matter that is involved with a piece of real estate has to be recorded at that registry of deeds. And so therefore that deed is recorded to put everybody in the world on notice that the buyer is now the owner of that property.